Alright, hello doctors, welcome back to Pirates of Medicine. Today we are going to continue with the biochemistry based solution series, sixth video in this series. So, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel, show your support, it means a lot to us. And without any further ado, let's begin. So, the 66th question today is examination of a 27-year-old patient revealed pathological changes in the liver and brain. Blood plasma analysis revealed an abrupt decrease in copper concentration. Urine analysis revealed an increase in copper concentration. The patient was diagnosed with Wilson's degeneration. To confirm the diagnosis, it is necessary to study the activity of the following enzyme in blood serum. To understand this question, first of all, let's see what ceruloplasmin is. So ceruloplasmin is a blue colored copper containing plasma protein. In the plasma, its concentration is around 30 mg per deciliter. Now ceruloplasmin is a copper containing plasma protein. It binds to almost 90% of the total copper in our body. The other compound or plasma protein that binds to copper is albumin. So what is the function of ceruloplasmin? Ceruloplasmin serves as a ferroxidase and it is involved in conversion of iron from its plus 2 state to the plus 3 state, ferrous to ferric state, which forms the transferrin protein and it is transported in plasma. So this is ceruloplasmin. Now, Wilson's disease is a rare hepatolenticular degeneration disorder. It is abnormal copper metabolism disorder. It is characterized by the following manifestations. Because copper, it is a disorder of copper. So copper is deposited in abnormal amounts in the liver and the lenticular nucleus of the brain, leading to hepatic cirrhosis and brain necrosis. That is why this is called as hepatolenticular degeneration. Now, why Wilson disease occurs? Wilson disease has a characteristic appearance that there would be low copper amount in the blood and the ceruloplasmin in the plasma will be low. And because of this, ceruloplasmin will not be able to bind with copper and the amount of copper excretion will increase in urine, which was obviously seen in the patient. So copper being a high amount in the blood without any like in a joint form without ceruloplasmin, it leads to copper deposition in various tissues. In kidney, it can cause renal damage, which leads to disturbance in formation of secondary urine. It leads to increased excretion of amino acids, glucose, hemoglobin in urine. Intestinal absorption of copper is very high in Wilson's disease because apparently the body thinks that copper is low in amount as it is not in a bound form. And one of the characteristic feature of ceruloplasmin is these rings present in the cornea of your eye, in the iris of your eye. These are called as Kayser-Fleischer's ring, and they are due to deposition of copper in the descent membrane of the cornea. So these are the various symptoms. There would be CNS disorder because of copper deposition there. The Kayser-Fleischer ring I already told you. Liver, due to deposition of copper in the liver, there would be hepatomegaly. There can be cardiomyopathy, renal dysfunction I already told you. And copper deposition in the joints can also cause arthritis. I hope you understand that this was Wilson's disease and this is due to low level of copper and specifically low level of ceruloplasmin. And that is why the answer over here is ceruloplasmin. So we need to check the ceruloplasmin levels to diagnose Wilson's disease. 67th question is that a patient complains about dyspnea provoked by physical activity. Clinical exam revealed anemia and presence of paraprotein in the zone of gamma globulin. To confirm the myeloma diagnosis, it is necessary to determine the following index in the patient urine. Let's see what myeloma is. So multiple myeloma is a plasma cell cancer. You know, the B lymphocytes, they transform into plasmacytes or plasma cells. So it is multiple myeloma is the cancer of those plasmacytes. So it constitutes about 1% of all cancers that affect the population of the world. Now, multiple myeloma is a cancer of plasma cells, which are the type of white blood cells or the B lymphocytes that produce antibodies. And multiple myeloma is due to malignancy in a single clone of plasma cells in the bone marrow. This results in overproduction of abnormal immunoglobulins, mostly IgG. In some cases, IgA or IgM would be produced abnormally. Now, what is the characteristic of multiple myeloma? In multiple myeloma, a special paraproteins are abnormal proteins. So, special Bence-Jones proteins is seen in the blood. Now, Bence-Jones protein is a monoclonal globulin protein. It is actually a light chain fragment of a mature immunoglobulin, which will be found in the blood and the urine. It would be excreted in the urine, and the detection of Bence-Jones protein may be suggestive of multiple myeloma or Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia. Multiple myeloma represents a malignant proliferation of plasma cells derived from a single clone within the bone marrow, while on the other hand, Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia is a proliferative disease of B lymphocytes. So in any case, Bence-Jones proteins will be present in multiple myeloma, and that is why to confirm the diagnosis, it is necessary to determine the following index in the patient's urine. The 68th question is a repeated one. As a result of exhausting muscular work, a worker has largely reduced buffer capacity of blood. What acidic substance that came to blood caused this phenomena? So, in case of exhausting muscular work, there would be more anaerobic respiration in the muscle, which will lead to lactate formation, and this excess lactate can cause lactic acidosis. 69th question is that a 2-year-old child with mental and physical retardation has been delivered to a hospital. He presents with frequent vomiting after having meals. There is phenyl pyruvic acid in the urine. What metabolism abnormality is the reason for this pathology? So these are a clinical characteristic or classic characteristic of phenylketonuria. Why? Let's look at that. To understand this, let's understand the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine. So phenylalanine in our body, the amino acid, is converted to tyrosine with the help of phenylalanine hydroxylase. Now, at this point, then the tyrosine forms another molecules like dopamine, it forms thyroxine, it forms tyramine, it forms melanin from the dopamine it forms catecholamines, and also tyrosine goes its own metabolism, making hydroxyphenyl pyruvic acid, homogentisate, and all the different substrates. But imagine if there is a disorder of this enzyme, what would happen? There would be no transformation of phenylalanine into tyrosine. So phenylalanine and its metabolites, phenyl pyruvic acid, phenyl acetic acid, they would accumulate in the blood, causing the characteristic disease phenylketonuria. So phenylketonuria is due to deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase, which leads to accumulation of phenylalanine in tissues and its increased excretion in urine. Due to disturbances in this metabolism, phenylalanine is diverted towards alternate pathways, resulting in excessive production of phenyl pyruvate, phenyl acetate, phenyl lactate, and phenyl glutamate. The classical symptoms are deposition of these substrates or these products will lead to mental retardation. It will lead to failure of growth retardation, seizures can occur, tremors can occur, which are classically seen in phenylketonuria. Now, accumulation of phenylalanine competitively inhibits tyrosinase and impairs melanin formation. As a result, the people with phenylketonuria show hypopigmentation and their skin is light in color, which we call as albinism. I hope you understand. Let's go to the next one. Before we go, phenylketonuria is an amino acid. So in the question, it was a disorder of amino acid metabolism. That is why the answer is amino acid metabolism. Let's go to the next one. The 70th question is that a patient was delivered to a hospital by an emergency team. Objectively, grave condition, unconscious, dynamic. Cutaneous surfaces are dry, eyes are sunken, face is cyanotic, there is tachycardia, and there is smell of acetone from the mouth. Analysis results that the blood glucose is 20.1 micromole per liter and standard is around 3.3 to 5.5. So you see there is hyperglycemia. There is high amount of glucose in the body. Urine glucose is 3.5%, standard is 0. There is increased excretion of urine in the urine, increased excretion of glucose in the urine. So what is this? This is a classical finding of diabetic ketoacidosis causing hyperglycemic coma. So diabetic ketoacidosis occurs due to increased ketone body formation causing metabolic acidosis, and hyperglycemia results in various symptoms like fatigue, blurry vision, there is like excessive thirst, there is acetone like fruity breath, increased hunger, nausea and vomiting, and increased urination or polyuria. Now, diabetic ketoacidosis is occurs as a consequence of absolute or relative insulin deficiency, and it is accompanied by other like increase in other hormones like glucagon, cortisol, growth hormone, epinephrine, and this type of hormonal imbalance enhances hepatic gluconeogenesis, and again glucose quantity increases. So that is why the answer over here is hyperglycemic coma, because there is hyperglycemia which has lead to unconsciousness, which is coma, and that is why it is hyperglycemic coma. Hypoglycemic coma will occur when the blood glucose level falls below the standard conditions. So I hope you understand. Let's go to the next one. Profuse foam appeared when dentists put hydrogen peroxide on the mucus of the oral cavity. What enzyme caused such activity? So when we studied the free radical formation in the first video, I think we studied about various enzymatic antioxidants present in the blood. So one of those enzymes were catalase. Now what does catalase do? It converts hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. Because of oxygen, it appears there is a foam, profuse foam. So this is why same thing occurs over here. When hydrogen peroxide is poured into the oral cavity, the catalase enzyme leads to formation of water and oxygen from hydrogen peroxide, and the profuse foam is formed due to oxygen formation. So 72 question is, a 62-year-old woman complains of frequent pains in the area of her chest and backbone, rib fractures. A doctor assumed myelomatosis, plasmacytoma. Which of the following laboratory characteristic will be of greatest diagnostical importance? We just did this question. Myelomatosis is nothing but multiple myeloma, which you can obviously understand by plasmacytoma, the tumor of plasmocytes. And what protein will be the most important for diagnostics? Bence-Jones protein, which is a paraprotein. So Bence-Jones proteins will be increased, which you call as paraproteinemia, increased amount of paraproteins in the blood. I hope you understand. We just did this. Let's go to the next one. 73 question is that the newborn child has convulsions that have been observed after prescription of vitamin B6. This most probable cause of this effect is that vitamin B6 is a component of the following enzyme. So vitamin B6 is a cofactor or coenzyme for glutamate decarboxylase. Glutamate decarboxylase is an enzyme which converts glutamate into GABA. So vitamin B6 is a cofactor for this enzyme, and if there is a deficiency of vitamin B6, this enzyme stops working, and this is seen in the patient that because of deficiency of because of increased production of GABA, because this cofactor is prescribed to the patient, so the glutamate decarboxylase will work more, making more GABA, and GABA concentration increase causes convulsions in the patient. So this is why vitamin B6 is a component of glutamate decarboxylase, and in our patient, if it is prescribed, it leads to more formation of GABA, and more formation of GABA leads to formation of convulsions in the patient. More convulsions will occur. So 74th is that nappies of a newborn have dark spots that witness formation of homogentisic acid. Metabolic imbalance of which substance is it connected with? So we just did the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine. You can see over here that in one of its pathways, tyrosine is converted into homogentisate, while the enzyme para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate deoxygenase, and this homogentisate is converted into fumaryl acetoacetic acid by the enzyme homogentisate oxidase. Now, if there is increased amount of homogentisate, then there must be a disorder of this enzyme, because fumarate acetoacetic acid will not be formed, leading to increased amount of homogentisate in the body, and this deficiency of enzyme leading to these symptoms is called as alkaptonuria or black urine disease. Alkaptonuria is due to defect in enzyme homogentisate oxidase, which leads to accumulation of homogentisate in the tissues and blood. Homogentisate on standing gets oxidized into quinones, which gives the black or brown color. Homogentisates get oxidized by polyphenol oxidase to benzoquinone acetate, which undergoes polymerization to produce a pigment called alkapton. Now, alkapton deposition occurs in connective tissue, various bones and organs, resulting in a condition called as onchronosis. The black urine is due to oxidation of homogentisate into quinones, which leads to black or brown color, and this is the characteristic of alkaptonuria. So that is why over here it is a disorder of tyrosine metabolism. So I hope you understand alkaptonuria. Let's go to the next one. 75 question here is repeated. Pathological changes in the liver and brain were revealed. Copper concentration is decreased and it is increased in the blood and it is increased in the urine. Wilson's disease was diagnosed. Activity of what enzyme should be examined? Ceruplasmin. Same enzyme. We just did this first question for this video. So Wilson disease, low level of copper, ceruplasmin is decreased, and increased excretion of copper is in the urine. So let's go to the next one. 76 question is that a 50-year-old patient complains about general weakness, appetite loss, and cardiac arrhythmia. The patient presents with muscle hypotonia, flaccid paralysis, weakened peristaltic activity of the bowels. Such condition might be caused by hypokalemia. Hypokalemia is defined as serum potassium levels less than normal, which is less than 3.5 milliequivalent per liter or 3.5 millimole per liter, and moderate is around around the level of 2.5 to 3 milliequivalent per liter, and severe hypokalemia is when the potassium levels are less than 2.5 milliequivalent per liter in the blood. So what are the symptoms of hypokalemia? In the cardiovascular system, it causes hypertension, it causes orthostatic hypotension, it leads to dysarrhythmias or arrhythmias in the cardiac muscle tissue, usually tachyarrhythmias, and also T-wave flattening, QT prolongation, ST depression, and in the muscles it causes malaise, weakness, hyporeflexia, cramps, paralysis, rhabdomyolysis. In the gastrointestinal tracts, it causes abdominal distension, nausea, vomiting. So all these symptoms are of hypokalemia, and the same symptoms are present in our patient over here: arrhythmias, appetite loss, weakness, muscle hypotonia, paralysis, weakened peristaltic activities. So this is caused by hypokalemia. So let's go to the next one. 77 question is that an 18-year-old patient has enlarged inguinal lymph nodes. They are painless, thickened on the palpation. In the area of genital mucous membrane, there is small sized ulcer with thick edges and lacquer bottom of grayish color. What is the most probable diagnosis? So this ulcer is called as a chancre. It is a painless genital ulcer, mostly commonly found in primary stage of syphilis. Now, these ulcers are usually form on the anus, on the mouth, or the penis and the vagina. Morphologically, the chancre is usually firm, round, and painless with thick edges. You can see over here, painless with thickened edges and a lacquer bottom of grayish color. So this is only seen in syphilis, and that is why the answer is syphilis. 78 question is a repeated one. Concentration of pyruvate is increased in the patient's blood, the most of which is excreted with urine. What vitaminosis is observed in the patient? So pyruvate, why is pyruvate linked with deficiency of vitamin B1? Because thymine, the coenzymic form of vitamin B1, TPP, is a cofactor for pyruvate dehydrogenase. Pyruvate dehydrogenase converts pyruvate into acetyl coenzyme A, but if there is a deficiency of vitamin B1, then the pyruvate decarboxylase enzyme will not work, leading to less formation of acetyl coenzyme A, and more accumulation of pyruvate in the body. 79 question is that carnitine including drug was recommended to a sportsman for improving results. What process is activated most of all with the help of carnitine? So we studied this question during the fatty oxidation question. So if you remember, the second stage of fatty oxidation is transport of fatty acids, activated fatty acids into the mitochondria, and for this purpose we have a carnitine shuttle system which takes the acyl coenzyme A by combining with the carnitine and forming acyl carnitine and taking the carnitine in the mitochondria, and then carnitine leaves the acyl coenzyme A, forming acyl coenzyme A and leaving carnitine, which goes out and continues this shuttle. So this shuttle mechanism is used for transporting activated fatty acids into mitochondria. This is the use of carnitine, and this is why the doctor prescribed the sportsman carnitine, so that more of his fat is burned, more of his activated fatty acids goes into the mitochondria. And why? Because carnitine transports fatty acids into the mitochondria. So 80 question is that a patient with suspected diphtheria went through bacterioscopic examination. Examination of throat swab revealed rod-shaped bacteria with volutin granules. What idiotropic preparation should be chosen in this case? So this person has already diphtheria infection, and for a treatment of already diphtheria infection, you will give an anti-diphtheric antitoxic serum. You will not give diphtheria antitoxin because you don't need to develop a passive immunity, artificial active immunity. You want to provide a treatment to already formed bacteria and bacteria toxin, and because diphtheria forms these toxins which are very harmful for our body. So to stop that toxins from working, you give the anti-diphtheric antitoxin serum as a treatment. And if you want to give up artificial active immunity vaccine for diphtheria, then you use diphtheria anatoxin, which is a formaldehyde inactivated diphtheria toxin, which you call as diphtheria anatoxin. But here you want to stop the toxic effect of diphtheria toxins. For that you will give anti-diphtheric antitoxic serum. So 81 question is that a patient with diabetes mellitus experienced loss of consciousness and convulsions after injection of insulin. What is the result of biochemical blood analysis for concentration of sugar? Now if you remember, the normal amount of blood sugar or glucose in the blood is around 3.3 to 3.5 millimole per liter. And in case of injection of insulin, there would be less amount of blood sugar in a person with already diabetes mellitus. So if you inject a high amount of insulin to a patient, it would lead to a condition called as hypoglycemia. Now, hypoglycemia is when the concentration of glucose decreases, and here in our case hypoglycemia will occur because the patient was given an injection of insulin. So hypoglycemia has various symptoms. It can cause confusion, seizures and coma, and hypoglycemic coma occurs when the glucose level fall below the range of 2.3 to 2.7 millimole per liter. And as the blood glucose level fall down, most of the neurons of our central nervous system, they become electrically silent and non-functional, which results in coma. Other symptoms of severe hypoglycemia are given here: diplopia or double vision, blurry vision, sweating, slurred speech, confusion, anxiety, drowsiness because of CNS not working properly because of insufficiency of glucose in the blood, then feeling hungry, convulsions, jerky movements. So in the question, out of all the options, 1.5 millimole per liter is the only serum concentration level which will cause hypoglycemia, and this is why the answer is A. 82 question is sort of repeated. A woman who has been keeping to a clean rice diet for a long time was diagnosed with polyneuritis beriberi. What vitamin deficit results in development of this disease? So vitamin B1 is not present in rice. So if a person is having rice diet, then they would have a deficiency of vitamin B1, and vitamin B1 deficiency is called as beriberi. What are the typical symptoms? There is weak muscles and severe weight loss. Other vitamin deficiency you already should know. Vitamin E deficiency is night blindness or blindness. Vitamin B2 is called as araboflavinosis, which leads to poor diet and mouth sores. In vitamin B3 is pellagra, which is why vitamin B3 is called pellagra preventing factor. The 4 Ds, diarrhea, dermatitis, dementia, and 4th D is death. Pantothenic acid is paresthesia, pyridoxine causes anemia, biotin causes dermatitis, folic acid megaloblastic anemia, B12 causes deficiency of B12 causes pernicious anemia, vitamin C you already know scurvy, vitamin D you already know rickets, vitamin E is antioxidant and it can cause hemolytic anemia because RBCs will get more oxidative stress. Vitamin K deficiency leads to bleeding diathesis, which means more chance of bleeding because vitamin K takes part in clotting mechanism. So I hope you understand. Let's go to the next one. So 83 question is that removal of gallbladder of a patient has disturbed processes of calcium absorption through the intestinal wall. What vitamin will stimulate this process? So I hope you already know that vitamin D3 is responsible for calcium metabolism. How? Let's look. So this is the whole vitamin D metabolism in our skin. 7-dehydrocholesterol is converted into cholecalciferol with the help of UV light. Now cholecalciferol goes to the liver and it forms the 25-hydroxycholecalciferol form of vitamin D. It goes to the kidney. In the kidney, with the help of the enzyme 1-hydroxylase, this 25-hydroxycholecalciferol is converted into the active form of vitamin D, the D3, 1,2,5-dihydroxycholecalciferol, or which you commonly call as calciferol. Now this calciferol is the one that does various actions. It go first of all in the kidney itself is increases reabsorption of calcium and excretion of phosphate, and it goes to the intestine, and intestine it does is that it increases absorption of calcium again. In the bone, it goes to the bone and it increases the bone formation and the bone turnover, and this is how the vitamin D3 affects the calcium metabolism. So the next question is 84 that a 63-year-old woman developed signs of rheumatoid arthritis. Increase of which of the following blood values could be helpful in proving diagnosis? So in rheumatoid arthritis there would be excessive destruction of collagen or the cartilage. So in the cartilage we have a variety of biomolecules present. One of those molecules are the additive glycosaminoglycans or the GAGs. GAGs are what? They are the mucopolysaccharides. They are the heteroglycans sugar molecules made up of repeating units of sugar derivatives like amino sugars and uronic acid. Now they are more commonly called as glycosaminoglycans. Now the matrix of cartilage I already told you is made up of GAGs, proteoglycans, collagen fibers and sometimes elastin. What are the various forms of GAGs you should know? Hyaluronic acid is a form of GAG. It serves as a lubricant in the synovial joints. It promotes wound healing as well. You should know chondroitin sulfate. It helps to maintain the structure and shapes of tissues. You should know heparin. Heparin is an important anticoagulant of the blood. Dermatan sulfate maintains the shape of tissue. Keratin sulfate keeps the cornea transparent. So these are the main GAGs, and if there is an increased destruction of cartilage, then the amount of GAGs, even the amount of proteoglycans, collagen and elastin will be increased in the blood. So I hope you understand why the answer was additive glycosaminoglycans. Let's go to the 85th question. 85th question is a repeated one. A 1.5-year-old child presents with both mental and physical lag, decolorizing of skin and hair, decrease in catecholamine concentration. A few drops of 5% solution of trichloroacetic acid had been added to the child's urine and it turned olive green. Such alterations are typical for the following pathology. So from the first part of the question itself, you can already diagnose that this patient has a disorder of phenylalanine phenylketonuria specifically, but this special test for diagnosis of phenylketonuria is called as ferric chloride test. In this case, a urine sample is taken and a few drops of ferric chloride are added, and if phenyl pyruvate is present in the urine, then it forms a complex with the ferric chloride, and the intense blue-green color, which you can see over here, is seen, which shows that the patient has phenylketonuria. So I hope you understand. Let's go to the next one. 86th question is again a repeated question. A patient complains about frequent diarrhea, especially after consumption of fattening food, of body weight loss. Lab exam revealed steatorrhea, hypocholic feces. What can be the cause of this condition? We studied this question in the first video. Steatorrhea is the presence of excess fat in the feces. What are the probable causes that can cause steatorrhea? If there is a pancreatic insufficiency leading to less secretion of pancreatic lipase, if there is obstruction of the bile ducts leading to less amount of bile acids coming into the intestine, hepatic insufficiency which leads to less synthesis of bile acids, primary sclerosing cholangitis, which is again a disorder which will lead to less amount of bile acids entering the intestine and helping in emulsification of fat. Then small intestine diseases like celiac disease and IBD, inflammatory bowel diseases, which lead to malabsorption of fats and again which will lead to steatorrhea. And some medicines can also block fat absorption like orlistat and Vytorin. And in the question over here, what was happening? That there was steatorrhea and hypocholic feces. What can be the cause? Out of all the options, the most probable option is obstruction of biliary tracts, because there are steatorrhea and hypocholic feces. If there was a lack of pancreatic lipase, steatorrhea would be present, but feces won't be hypocholic, because bile are the bile products, or the bile pigments are what that make the feces give their characteristic color. If there is less amount of bile, it would lead to hypocholic feces. So the most probable answer over here is obstruction of biliary tracts. 87 question is that on the empty stomach in the patient's blood glucose was 5.65 millimole per liter. In an hour after usage of sugar, it was 8.55 millimole per liter. In a 2 hours, after 2 hours, it was 4.95 millimole per liter. Such indicators are typical for we need to answer. So this is a characteristic glucose tolerance test. Now what happens in glucose tolerance test? Glucose tolerance test is conducted in the morning time between 9 to 11 am. A fasting blood sample is drawn, a blood sample is drawn without the patient eating anything in the morning, and the urine is collected. Then the subject is given around 75 gram of glucose orally, dissolved in 300 milliliter of water, which is to be drunk in about 5 minutes. Now blood and urine samples are collected at 30-minute intervals for at least 2 hours. So what happens in normal person after when sample is collected during fasting, after fasting, then the blood glucose level is around less than 6.1 millimole per liter, but in a diabetes person it is more than 7. 1 hour after it is less than 9, and it is not prescribed. You should not do this test 1 hour. You should not analyze 1 hour after for diabetic person, but in a normal person it is less than 9. Even 2 hours after in a healthy person, the amount of glucose in the blood would be 7.8 millimole per liter, but in a diabetic person it would be very high, more than 11. So if you compare the values of our patient over here, then all the glucose levels are normal as compared to the levels I just showed you for the glucose tolerance test. So this shows that all these indicators are of a healthy person. The person is not diabetic, does not have glucose tolerance or carbohydrate disorder. This is why the person is normal, and all the indices are normal for this patient. 88th question is that a child is languid, apathetic, liver is enlarged, and liver biopsy showed a significant excess of glycogen. Glucose concentration in the blood stream is below normal. What is the cause of low glucose concentration? So if you notice, there is excess of glycogen. So we did this question, we understood the glycogen metabolism. So glucose is converted into glycogen, and then glycogen can be destroyed to yield glucose whenever necessary. But if there is a disorder of any of the enzymes responsible for converting glycogen back to glucose, then it can cause glycogen storage diseases. In liver, a special enzyme, liver glycogen phosphorylase, is present, which if it is not working, it leads to Hirsch disease, or sixth type of glycogen storage disease. So in our patient, there is excessive amount of glycogen in the liver because we did the liver biopsy, which shows that glycogen phosphorylase is not working. So there is obviously a disorder of liver glycogen phosphorylase, and this disease is called as Hirsch disease. So that is why the answer over here is low or absent activity of glycogen phosphorylase in liver. I hope you understand. Let's go to the 89th question. A 65-year-old patient suffering from gout complains of kidney pain. Ultrasound exam revealed renal calculi. The most probable cause of calculi formation is strengthened concentration of the following substance. So we have done this question so many times because there is gout. Gout is due to hyperuricemia or increased amount of uric acid in the blood. Why? Because of the increased purine salvage pathway or increased synthesis of urate from degradation of purine nucleotides, which we studied in the previous videos. And this condition in which urate or uric acid gets accumulated in the joints, it is called as gout, and therefore the answer is uric acid. Now our friend again, a 65-year-old patient suffering from gout, complains of pain in kidney region. Ultrasound examination revealed that renal calculi were there. As a result of what process were they formed? So I just told you. These uric acid calculi are formed as the increase in purine nucleotide salvage or increase in decay of purine nucleotide, which leads to hyperproduction of uric acid, and this condition is known as gout. So this is all for today. We covered a lot of questions in this video. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already, and also consider connecting to us on our Instagram and our Telegram. We post a lot of quiz and exciting contests over there. We just posted a special quiz on Tuesday and the winner got a shout out. And also please consider sharing these videos with your friends so that they can also get benefit in their preparation for CROC exam. Almost a month is left for your exam. I hope you are studying well. If you need any consultation, if you need any guidance, you can contact us on our Instagram and our Facebook. So this has been good. See you in the next one.